Hi everyone, Brian here to take a look at my video game collection. This is, I think, part 11 or so, starting to go over the handheld games. So we'll start by going over the Game Boy games I have and Game Boy Color. So the Game Boy, I did not have an original DMG Game Boy brick model. Never had one growing up. Never played a Game Boy game until the Game Boy Advance because of its backwards compatibility back in 2001. Then I actually played my first Game Boy game. So late coming on the Game Boy, but I picked up quite a few since then. So we'll start by going over my boxed ones. Blades of Steel. The NES game is basically a port of it. This is just a box of Miss Pac-Man. When I worked in the game store, they were going to toss out, so I picked it up. Castlevania The Adventure. Kind of an early Game Boy game. Kind of slow, but I like it. Final Fantasy The Adventure. Also re-released as I think it was Sword of Mana on the Game Boy Advance. Gargoyle's Quest. Kirby's Dream Land. Been recently playing through, or for the past year or so, I've been playing through all the Kirby games. Started with the first one. Very fun game. I like that it's very simple. You can beat it very easily. Cannot suck up enemies' powers though, but still a fun game. Kirby's Dream Land 2 improved on the first in all the ways. You had rideable animal buddies with different powers. You could suck enemies and get their powers. Link's Awakening. This is the original Link's Awakening. I also have the DX version, which was released with the Game Boy Color. This is one I'm still playing. I'm having a hard time with it. I've been playing it for a few months because I've died the most than any other Zelda game on this one. But it's still a very fun game. I love the quirkiness of it too. Metroid 2 beat this last year, around Christmas time, I think. Very fun game. Very awesome. Super Mario Land, one of my favorite Mario games, just for the fact that it's so quirky and unique. The music's awesome. The ending theme is one of my favorites. And very simple and easy to beat. Very different compared to all the other Mario games. And I think that's one of the reasons I like it. Super Mario Land 2, 6 golden coins. This is where they went in a more traditional direction. The Mario sprite is a lot bigger. It's almost like a Mario world map. Very fun game, and it introduced Wario, who took over Mario's castle, and you have to fight him at the end. Onto my Game Boy Color here. We have in cases or DS cases, we have Resident Evil Gaiden. Dragon Warrior 1 and 2 is a collection of Dragon Warrior 1 and 2 from the NES with improvements like more gold when you beat an enemy, more experience when you beat an enemy. So leveling up and buying items is a lot easier. You gain levels quicker, you get items quicker, and which turn makes the game easier and more fun and streamlined. I recommend these if you want to play the first Dragon Warrior games. Dragon Warrior 3 is my all-time favorite Dragon Warrior game. One of the best on the NES, and this game is awesome too. I have not beaten it. Actually, I haven't beaten either of these on the Game Boy Color, the remakes, but I did play some of them, and very good. Good ways to play them. But I still have nostalgia for the original NES ones. And we have, as these fall over, Zelda Oracle of Ages. Super Mario Brothers Deluxe. They added like a world map and I think collectibles. This is actually the first Super Mario Brothers with, like I said, a world map added. And the other one that fell down was Dragon Warrior 1 and 2. So that's my cased games. Just three original boxed ones, and these are just DS cases that I printed the artwork with. Now we'll go into the majority of my collection, which is these loose little bins here. I bought these at a dollar store for like, $1 actually, and they're perfect size to like flip through Game Boy games. So in alphabetical order, starting with the Game Boy, we have here. I'm just going to pull them out and show the artwork. I printed end labels on these guys with a little label maker. This is actually a port of the NES one, and Battletoads and Ragnarok World was a completely different Battletoads game. Bonk's Adventure, the only Bonk's Adventure I own besides the Virtual Console release. Actually, I have Bonk's Revenge too, but I haven't played the actual TurboGrafx game other than an emulated one on Virtual Console. Bubble Ghost, fun puzzle game. Bugs Bunny Crazy Castle 2. Castlevania 2 Belmont's Revenge, improved on the first in every way. Castlevania Legends, the third and final one on the Game Boy. Cat Trap. Contra the Alien Wars, a port of the SNES game. Donkey Kong, a reimagining of the Donkey Kong arcade game. After you get through the first 10 levels or so, you go into like a Mario vs. Donkey Kong puzzle kind of game. Very fun, and it started the Mario vs. Donkey Kong games, which are still going today. Donkey Kong Land, Donkey Kong Land 2, and Donkey Kong Land 3. Double Dragon 2, that's just got this one, that's why there's no end label on it. DuckTales and DuckTales 2, awesome games. F1 Race, a very early first launch game on the Game Boy. Final Fantasy Legend. Final Fantasy Legend 2. And Final Fantasy Legend 3. This is the Sunsoft re-release. Get on to the second one here. Little one here. We got Fortified Zone. This is in Nigahari Warriors universe, I believe. Kid Dracula, very fun game. I never beat it, but the platforming, the graphics, the music is all excellent. Sequel to Kid Icarus, they improved on the first one in a lot of ways, made it a lot easier. Killer Instinct, not a very good game, because they crammed the Killer Instinct onto a Game Boy, about what you'd expect. It did have Super Game Boy support though, looks like. This says, you can't see, Kingdom Crusade. I've never played it. Got it for cheap though. Kirby's Block Ball. Kirby's Pinball Land. Kirby's Star Stacker. Quirk. I remember Quirk because there was a cartoon that it was on syndication when I was a kid, where he was in a crime fighting team with Kuros from Wizard and Warriors, the Narc policeman, somebody, a basketball player from Arch Rivals or some game, and they were like Power Team or Superpower, and they fought crime against this fat mobster. I forget the name exactly. Yeah, I liked it. Marble Madness, loved the NES one. Never played the Game Boy port though. Used to rent the NES one a lot. Mega Man Dr. Wily's Revenge. Mega Man 2. Mega Man 3. Mega Man 4. Those are all on the Virtual Console on 3DS, by the way. Mole Mania. Ninja Gaiden Shadow, the port of the Shadow of the Ninja on the NES. Very fun game. This is Ninja Taro. I haven't played it, so I can't really comment on it. Oddworld Adventures. I haven't played this, but I picked it up because I never played an Oddworld game. Operation C. This is a completely new adventure in the Contra universe for the Game Boy. Penguin Wars. Quarth. Radar Mission. And I got this because I was a huge fan of the NES version of Boy and His Blob. This is the sequel, The Rescue of Princess Blobette. So that is the second row of games. Here we go onto the R's. We have Roland's Curse, kind of a first-person RPG. Roland's Curse 2. Skate or Die, Bad and Rad. Super RC Pro-Am. Sword of Hope. I said Roland's Curse was a first-person RPG. It's not. It's actually like a top-down Zelda type RPG. Sword of Hope. I got it confused with Sword and Hope. Sword of Hope 1 and Sword of Hope 2 are first-person RPGs, similar to like a Shadowgate view or Deja Vu, if you will. Tecmo Bowl. And the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles games, we have Fall of the Foot Clan, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 Back from the Sewers, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 Radical Rescue, which I was playing for a while. Haven't played it in a while. It's like a Metroid kind of exploration game. Very fun. Ultima Runes of Virtue 2, Wario Blast, Wario Land, Super Mario Land 3. Awesome game. All the Wario Land games, I played those recently. Very fun. The first Wave Race game. A lot of people remember the N64 game, but this was the very first one on the Game Boy. So those right there were my Game Boy games. Getting into Game Boy Color now. You can tell the Game Boy Color because they were specifically the ones that were, I think, the black ones you could play in a Game Boy or a Game Boy Color. But they'd play in black and white on a Game Boy and in color on a Game Boy Color, so that's why the cases is different. I could be wrong about that, so correct me if I am wrong. This is Bugs Bunny's Crazy Castle 3. Conker's Pocket Tales. Before Conker 64, you had Conker's Pocket Tales. Dragon Warrior Monsters. Game & Watch Gallery 3. Harvest Moon. This is the Game Boy Color version. Harvest Moon 2. Legend of the River King. Legend of the River King 2. I haven't played these, but from what I understand, Harvest Moon is more of a farm simulation RPG. Legend of the River King is a fishing type RPG, similar to Harvest Moon. Mega Man Extreme. This is a port of the Mega Man X games, I believe, onto the Game Boy Color. Metal Walker. Montezuma's Return. Power Quest. I got this because of the artwork. I don't know much about it. Rampage World Tour. Shadowgate Classics. This contains the Shadowgate game. Awesome game. Wario Land 2. Also, there was a just a regular Game Boy version too, which was black and white. This was launched with the Game Boy Color, and it was actually color. But you can get it on the regular Game Boy too, and that's when the Wario Land series really started taking off in its own kind of genre type. Not genre, but own way. Wario Land 2. He could charge and stuff. Yars' Revenge, I got it because one of the few Atari 2600 games I really like is Yars' Revenge. Now we get into the crystal cases. These ones were only playable on the Game Boy Color. So we have Bionic Commando, Elite Force, Crystalis, a port of the NES game. I think there were some differences on it too. Deja Vu 1 and 2, kind of a Kimo Seita's first-person adventure mystery games like Shadowgate. Dragon's Lair. This is an actual port of Dragon's Lair in the arcade where you select the direction to go. It had like a pixeled full video. And very interesting. Duke Nukem. Kirby Tilt and Tumble. Here it is, the Legend of Zelda Oracle of Seasons. I showed you Ages earlier. Here is Seasons. Still have not played them. after I play through Link's Awakening, I will pick those up. Lufia Legend Returns, Magi Nation, Mario Golf, Mario Tennis, Mega Man Extreme 2. This was, I showed you Extreme 1 earlier. This is Mega Man X2, I think, for the Game Boy Color, and this was Game Boy Color only. Those are also on the Virtual Console. Metal Gear Solid, Return of the Ninja, Simpsons Night of the Living Treehouse of Horrors, The Smurfs Nightmare, Toki Tori, Top Gear Pocket, Wario Land 3, one of my favorites, Warlock. This is a like strategy RPG on the Game Boy Color, developed by Nintendo, I think. Wendy Every Which Way. This is a way forward game. You had like a gravity mechanic like Metal Warrior, so pretty cool. So that is it, guys. That is my Game Boy and Game Boy Color collection. A lot of good games on the Game Boy. I'm still playing through them. One of my favorite systems to collect for, because you're always finding stuff for cheap, and it's not expensive. So, anyways, guys, my battery is running low. So take care, and I'll see you again when we'll go over my Game Boy Advance stuff. So, bye.